Hey there, it's Abby with Andromeda Technology Solutions. I just wanted to hop on real quick before we start this month's recorded session of IT Office Hours and invite you to next month's session. So this is going to be on Wednesday, December 11th at noon. It's a little bit earlier in the month, but we wanted to get ahead of the holidays. And this one's actually dedicated to talking to you about some of the most popular scams that criminals are going to throw your way over the holiday season and end of year. This is a big time for criminals. They're really focused on coming after you, stealing your data, stealing money, getting anything they can get their hands on, and a lot of people fall victim. So I'm excited to share a couple of different scams and things that you can look out for to protect yourself during the holiday season. If you want to register and get that on your calendar right now, all you have to do is click the link below this video and get that on your calendar, and I look forward to seeing you there. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to IT Office Hours with Andromeda Technology Solutions here on Wednesday, November 20th. I was getting an alert a little bit ago that was giving me some feedback that my audio wasn't working, so I did some testing. I think things are going well, but if you can't hear me, please just throw something in the chat and I will troubleshoot this live. We'll get to see me struggle. But anyway, without further ado, I do want to kick off today's session because we do have a lot to cover. Even if it's only 3 ways that cyber criminals can break into your business, I want to give you guys some valuable and useful information with regard to those topics. So I do want to dive right on in here. So first, we do have some new faces joining us today, so welcome. I'm just going to go over real quick, what is IT Office Hours with Andromeda anyway? Well, IT Office Hours is a monthly webinar session that we've been doing for about a half a year now for clients and friends and just people in the network that know of Andromeda Technology Solutions. We really want to create an opportunity to connect with our audience and our network to share some valuable educational content. At the end of the day, 9 times out of 10 when it comes to cybersecurity, productivity, software hacks, and all that kind of stuff, the biggest thing that you need is just education, and we want to make sure that we're giving back and providing that for you. So like I said, you'll see things like we're going to talk about popular scams and criminal techniques like we're doing today, tips and tricks that you can share with your staff that might help them protect themselves or maybe even get more use out of a software platform. Recently, we did a session on Office 365. Solutions that are available to help you defend your business. So we'll talk about what types of threats are out there, what they mean for you, and then options that you can deploy to help you defend your business against them. And then finally, where it is applicable, I'll always throw in little tidbits there about compliance that's industry specific or just global if we know it's something that you should know about. So today, in case you didn't know, we're going to be talking about 3 ways cyber criminals break into your business, cause you or the business harm, and what you can do about it as an owner or a decision maker at your facility. So diving right in, the first thing that we're going to talk about today is going to be the Internet of Things. This is commonly referred to as IoT, but this is a big space right now. I was reading an article just this morning that said incident rates had multiplied 9 times already in 2019 as opposed to historic evidence of IoT attacks and victims in 2018 and before. This is one of the biggest things hitting the market right now. The FBI is even putting out service warnings to the public, not even just businesses, but to individuals. Each and every one of us probably has a smart device in our home right now. And this is just a really big space because criminals know that a lot of people really aren't paying attention to this and they don't understand the risks that IoT can introduce to your business. So I'm going to touch on this just a little bit here and some of the ideas that we've got and some of the things that we are implementing at our client sites to help defend against these issues. So just to review again once real quickly, IoT, Internet of Things. We're talking here about smart devices. So from a business level, this stuff does show up and these things are in our offices. So things like, think about smart printers, faxes, scanners, even smart thermostats. Some kitchens at the office might have smart fridges, smart devices in there. There's a lot of AI and office assistants. A lot of offices are now making use of the Google Homes and Alexa and Amazon and smart lights and all of that kind of stuff. But the one thing that we need to make sure our clients are aware of and that you as a business owner or decision maker need to understand is that any device that's quote unquote smart, that is requiring access to your network, if it's not handled properly, can actually open you up to risk because it's just an open port on your network if we're going to get down to the root of it. So again, all of these devices need to be connected to the internet to be smart capable, right? So that's kind of the thing that you can think about. Does this device need an internet access for it to work and produce a benefit for me? If so, then it's a smart device. I need to make sure that I'm taking caution with where I put it, how I introduce it to our network, and who has access to it. So industries that are seeing a lot of fire, so to speak, or who are really being heavily impacted right now, and this is really cybersecurity in general. We're seeing a lot of impact in the medical industry. Obviously, medical offices have a lot of valuable data, and I mean, even if you're not an owner or you don't work at a medical facility, you should think about your doctors and where you go visit and start to think about whether they're keeping your data secure. So any of these, really, again, you have to think about your business, but think about how it impacts you personally, and it extends out from there. But so medical offices, we've got a lot of valuable data. We've got personally identifiable information. You've got compliance. And criminals know that. They know that that's a really target and prime market. Medical records sell for almost twice what an identity-related record sells for on the dark web at this time. And then another thing that I see a ton of right now when I'm doing research and looking for things to share with our network is a big scare or a big focus on smart medical devices and implants. Now, that's obviously not something that we at Andromeda can help you with at this time, but it is definitely an interesting topic, and it's got a lot of people in the medical community a little bit concerned about when things go to that next step. We've also got the financial industry. I mean, really, medical, financial, legal, professional services, manufacturing, like I've got listed out here. Any industry where you've got data, and I mean, this is really any business, but financials, they've got your financial data. Again, we've got personally identifiable information, and potentially we've got access to personal finances. Legal, we've got data, we've got people's personal information. Lawyers are running to and from the courthouse. We cannot afford downtime. Neither can a doctor, neither can, an accountant, neither can anybody, really. We're all just trying to get our work done from 9 to 5, and then 5 to 9. But so another really big industry right now, what we're seeing a lot of impact and a lot of scary stuff happening is manufacturing. And I do want to expand that because we're seeing a lot of cybersecurity incidents in manufacturing, logistics, distribution, and I mean, anything related to moving of product or production. Distribution, I think I already said. But this is a big target right now because what criminals have come to learn is that the manufacturing industry is a little bit typically, not always, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but the manufacturing industry typically is going to be a little bit behind with respect to certain cybersecurity elements. What we're seeing a lot of is criminals are getting really smart, and they're primarily targeting the production floor with their attacks so that they can shut down your service. They shut down your production, and no manufacturing company can afford to not be manufacturing their goods for any amount of time, really, right? Same thing goes for logistics. They know that if they're able to gum up your works, we're not moving product, and that's a big deal. So the manufacturing industry, and I would also include the construction industry, are being targeted very heavily right now because criminals know that right now that industry is just lagging a little bit behind with respect to investing in cybersecurity, and they're taking advantage. Finally, and I mean, this covers all of these verticals, but small to mid-sized businesses in general, we always say that, many small to mid-sized business owners think, I'm too small, this is not going to impact me, this isn't something I need to worry about. The criminals know you think that. So the criminals know that you don't have the budget of the big Fortune 500 companies to invest into your cybersecurity. The criminals know that you're probably not going to be on the cutting edge, right? We're just trying to keep up. Just last week, I had a gentleman call in. He's, a one-man band. He had a laptop, a desktop, and a server, and he got ransomware for $6,000. And it's as if the criminals thought this guy, owned and operated a larger facility where he just had $6,000 to hand out. But the criminals don't care. They see it as low-hanging fruit, and they know that the small business, if they're stuck out of their data, has no other option. So what they're doing is they're using the Internet of Things to get into your network and then ransom you or cause other issues. And I just want to make sure that these industries specifically pay very close attention to this specific threat. So I've done my job. I've made the scary thing scary. So now it's, what can you do to secure yourself from IoT breaches? What can we do to make sure our business is prepared for the Internet of Things and adequately protected? So first, and this is kind of a new topic that we're talking with our clients about, but the first thing I'm going to recommend is that you take some time and segment your network. So what I mean by that is you've got multiple people with different roles and responsibilities and objectives all coming into the office every day, and we're logging on to our computers and we're getting on the Wi-Fi or we're getting onto the internet. And we want to make sure that we're taking some time to really think about who has access, what network they're touching, and then what devices on our network are touching what, what spaces and what areas. And really, we want to create kind of lanes or segmented areas for different types of traffic. So there's 3 primary things that Andromeda does recommend at this time. The first is going to be that you have one dedicated network that is purely, again, dedicated. It's purely dedicated to your internal business operations. So again, if this was a medical facility, your EMR platform would be on there. For a legal facility, we might have our billing software on there. Really, for any business, we would have our billing software on there, our HR software. Anything that's proprietary that needs to be heavily secured. We should really take all of those critical business applications and hardware and have them on their own network. Now, again, for the manufacturing industry, we're going to take that another layer deep, and we're going to recommend that you segment your production network. So anything related to actual production or logistics is going to be in its own area where we can try to make it as secure as possible. Then we'll also have that internal business network, and that's specific to manufacturing. So the second type of network we're going to talk about, which pretty much every business would benefit from, would be the guest or public network. So this is really just for any time you've got visitors coming in. Again, some businesses are public facing, so they've got patients or customers coming in every day. Other businesses don't have as much of a need for this, but we definitely recommend that you make something available for the quote unquote public, so that you're not having just anybody access and get into your network. That's pretty dangerous. And then finally, connecting this back to the Internet of Things, one of the things that we're really recommending right now is that you dedicate a network specifically to the bring your own device. So that would be employees' cell phones or the smart devices. So that thermostat, the smart coffee maker in your kitchen, like we said, the printer, all of those things that we're just plugging into the network to get that smart feature compatibility and enhancement. We really don't want that sharing the same network as your critical business functions, because that means that those 2 things can talk to each other. And if those 2 things can talk, you're opening yourself up to risk. So that can get a little bit muddy. If you have any questions about segmenting your network and how that works, I would definitely recommend talking to one of the account managers on our side. But that's definitely something that we're talking a lot about a lot to our clients. So another thing that you can do too, and this is a little bit more enhanced, this is something that's a little bit newer. We're implementing it on clients that are heavily concerned about this and who really need to make sure that they're very much on top of visibility in their networks. I mean, everybody would benefit from this, but it doesn't make sense for every business. And this is going to be to consider implementing IDS and IPS. So IDS stands for Intrusion Detection Systems. And this really just helps you to tell you when an attack is happening or detected. This isn't going to proactively do anything, but it's going to alert the proper channels, hey, there's something going on, we need to address this, we want you to know about it now. And there's highly sophisticated tools out there that can check for a variety of different behaviors, modifications, activities on your network, and let your IT team, let whomever needs to know what they should do about that. Separately, there's intrusion prevention systems. These really work hand in hand. So we've got detection and then we've got prevention. And this really just helps to protect against and prevent known threats. So that's something that's going to know what's out there, know what things to look for, and it's going to prevent you and your staff from taking actions that are going to impact or invite cybercrime into your organization. So that was a lot. Internet of Things had a lot to talk about. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about third-party breaches. Now, if you've been on previous webinars, this is something that we've talked about in the past. This is a very big item right now in cybercrime. In fact, I think it's definitely over 3/4 of all cyber incidents at this time are related in some way, shape, or form to stolen usernames and passwords, or usernames and passwords that staff members accidentally just willingly give to criminals, not knowing that they're doing that. In a big way, criminals are getting access to this information and then walking right into your network and your business is by breaking into third parties. So real quick, I do just want to cover, since this is something that kind of gets, again, mixed up in the news and in conversation, but a third-party breach or a breach in general really just means that there was a possibility, that's all it is, there was a possibility that a piece of data or a data set was left open and accessible to somebody it shouldn't have been accessed by. So it doesn't always mean that the data was stolen. Sometimes it means the data was retrieved and stolen. Sometimes it just means that there was an open access to a set of data that anybody could have accessed over a period of time. So it does get a little bit tricky there. But for the most part, when you hear about a third-party breach, what we're talking about is stolen information. Credit card information, social security numbers, usernames, passwords, personally identifiable information, like, again, dates of birth, addresses, those types of things. The types of pieces of information that a criminal would need to impersonate you and do damage. So these types of incidents happen daily. I mean, I'm sure that you see them in the news all the time. Some of the big hitters and some of the biggest stories that we've heard about historically have been, Target. That was actually an Internet of Things breach. Target had an HVAC company coming in to assess their heating and cooling bills and efficiency. And so what they did is they connected through a smart device into the HVAC system, and that smart device wasn't properly secured. And that's how hackers were able to then get into Target and steal, I think it was, hundreds of thousands, if not more, pieces of information, including credit cards, all that kind of stuff. I think Target was one of the biggest ones. That and Home Depot were the biggest ones that made consumers aware of third-party breaches. Separately, things like Ashley Madison, Anthem, Equifax was huge. It's estimated that I believe 50% of the American adult population's social security numbers were stolen during the Equifax breach. I know mine definitely was, so I'm very vigilant about that. And then, one of the other ones I saw, and I kind of included in this list because it was a big one recently, last year, Marriott got hacked. These things, again, they happen day in and day out. I get emails every single day about medical facilities. Just, I believe, this week, I saw something that said the state of Louisiana had to alert that their cybersecurity protocol was being used because of an attempted ransomware attack. Earlier this year, over 20 different municipalities in Texas were taken over in a joint attack. I mean, this stuff happens left and right. Like I said, I had that call just a week ago from a small business owner right here in Lockport. So it's definitely scary stuff, and the third-party breaches are a way that criminals are getting into your network to do damage. So again, I've created the scary situation, but the question really is, what do third-party breaches have to do with my business? Abby, why do I care if Target got hacked? That doesn't mean anything to me. So I'm just going to walk you through some numbers really quick. So first, on average, each one of us, American adults and probably adults, globally, we have on average at least 130 different accounts online. So what that means is, think about it. You've got your Facebook, you've got your other social media, you've got your personal email, your finance, travel accounts, you've got any number of things. We could sit here and list off the different accounts, your music streaming, fitness accounts. I know MyFitnessPal and Under Armour had a big breach about 2 years ago. I know recently, even things online, like I'm in marketing, I use a tool called Canva to create graphics and things. And earlier this year, that was breached. But these are all different online accounts that we have, right? So 130 different accounts that every adult is going to have. And then approximately 40% of all adults are going to be reusing the exact same or some version of the same password across those accounts. Now, that makes perfect sense. No one person is going to be able to create unique and strong passwords across that many accounts and remember it from memory. So then, like I said earlier, I think I said about 3/4, but right here, 80% of network security incidents begin with stolen credentials or weak credentials or passwords, right? So those are the numbers. I think we're painting a picture here. We've all got a lot of different accounts online. We're struggling to keep them secure. And then we've got criminals out here going and stealing those passwords, and they know that we're probably reusing those passwords for a variety of things, including our personal activities and our professional activities, right? I would be probably sitting here looking at this presentation thinking about what are all the passwords that I use, not myself personally, but what are all the passwords that you're using, that you're reusing over and over again, and start thinking about how that could actually impact you or potentially your business. So real quick, I'm gonna take you through a story. So we're gonna pretend that we've got a front desk receptionist at a medical office. All right, so let's make this real. I'm gonna walk you through how this happens. So your front office, your front desk, we'll call her Mary Beth. And Mary Beth is fresh out of college, and she helps, bring in patients and check them in and all those great things, and helps with a variety of other things at the office. But she lets you know that she's very good at and interested in doing social media. So she sets up a Facebook account underneath the business domain, since it's a business account, and she's posting things online and making sure that your practice is getting, visibility and patients. And lo and behold, we find out that Facebook was hacked, right? We hear about that all the time. The social media is a very highly targeted areas, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those guys, even LinkedIn, they're getting attacked all the time. So Facebook gets hacked, and Mary Beth's password and email, which again is related to your business, gets stolen, right? So the criminal who hacked into Facebook then goes and takes that credential, that information, and puts it on the dark web to sell it to other criminals. And then those other criminals can do with it what they will, right? So they now have the username and password that Mary Beth, we're just going to run this example further, is using across multiple different things at your office. She uses it to log into your HR software so that she can do her work there. She uses it to log into your EMR because that's where she's doing the work there. She uses it for any number of things, to log into her desktop. All of those things are being controlled by that same username and password that now is for sale on the dark web. This is where this stuff gets to be a little bit scary. And then on top of that, the average amount of time from a breach to disclosure to the public at this time is between 12 to 18 months. So that means that a criminal at this point has a year to a year and a half head start to hack and get into your business before you find out about it on the 5 o'clock news. And by it, I mean that Facebook breach. So it's scary stuff, and it definitely has an impact, right? So what can you do to defend against this type of attack? There's a variety of things. I'm going to go through them, and they are very simple. It just takes time and dedication to implement. So first, I already hinted at this, but we're going to create the strongest passwords possible. So a strong password, what is that and what does that mean? It's going to be something, and this is something that we talk about all the time. I'm sure you've heard it many times, but we still all don't follow these rules. So 8 characters or more. We want to make sure it's a mix of upper and lowercase characters and numbers and all that good stuff. We want to use symbols, whatever symbols the password will let you put in there. So some use some use others. But we want to make sure we've got 8 characters or more, upper and lowercase, numbers, symbols. We want to try to make sure that your password is not related to anything personal. So it's not kids' names. It's not the street we grew up on. It's not our dog. It's not our favorite sports team, because all that information is on Facebook. Okay, criminals can guess that stuff, and it's not that hard. And then we want to try to make sure our passwords are always unique, right? We want them all to be completely unique and individual. And that, in the best case, your password is just a random mixture of like a jumbled up mess, and no one could probably make sense of it, right? Now imagine having 130 of those, though, and it gets a little hairy, right? So separately, we're also going to create a password management policy. And I do apologize. This session is going to go just a little bit long. I'll hope to wrap this up for you guys by about 12:30, but we do have a lot of content, and I know it's very valuable, so I want to make sure I give this to you guys. So create a password management policy. So this is for your business, and you can also apply this to your personal life, to be honest. So that's going to mean we're going to, again, I just talked about strong passwords. We're going to set standards for password strength at the business. So those are rules. That's not optional. We mandate that our passwords look like this, right? Then we're going to also mandate that passwords change every 90 days or so. That's what we would recommend at a minimum, right? Because then thinking back, okay, if Mary Beth's password got stolen on Facebook, it would get changed within that first 90 days, right? So hopefully just in that, just by making sure that it's strong and secure and unique, you can make sure that they don't have access to anything else. But also, by making sure that you're changing passwords regularly, that's another way to stay ahead of the game and stay ahead of these criminals. So then also we're going to set up what's called a lockout procedure for invalid attempts. You've seen this, I guarantee, in programs and applications that you're using, and all that means is that after a certain number of times that I'm typing in my password and I don't remember it, or maybe I'm a criminal who's trying to break in, after a certain number of invalid attempts, you're going to be locked out, right? And that may mean that you need to call your IT company to get back in, or any number of things. But we want to make sure that we're going to set a limitation. You can only try to get into the network or into this item so many times before we're going to lock you out. We're also going to set up what's called dual authentication. So that's pretty simple, and that's just anytime you get a message, anytime you're trying to log into something, or at a certain frequency, maybe every 30 days or something, the application is going to push a notification to some other spot, typically a phone with a code that you then put in to verify that it really is you. So again, that criminal who stole Mary Beth's password can't get in because they don't have Mary Beth's phone, right? And then finally, we're going to consider rolling out a professional password management solution. So the reason that we're going to do that is, again, we've got 130 accounts. We want to make sure that we're giving our staff the opportunity, the best opportunity to adhere to these standards. And one of the easiest ways to do that is by offering them a tool that's going to take a lot of that heavy lifting off of them, right? It'll help you generate secure passwords. It'll remind people that they need to update passwords. It'll save passwords in a secure location. I do need to mention, if there's one thing that you do after this webinar right away, go to your internet browser and go to the top right corner and clear any saved passwords that you have, unless they're in a secure and encrypted password management tool. We use LastPass here, just because if a criminal gets your device and they get in there, that's the first place that they go look, because they know that people are trying to be secure, but we're trying to do it an easy way. So they know that they're going to go look there for your saved passwords. So please do make sure that you clear that out. And if you have questions on that, just follow up with me and I'll walk you through it. So I got a little bit ahead of myself there, but like I said, we definitely are going to recommend looking into a password management tool so that we can avoid this. No more written passwords, no more sticky note behind the monitor, no sticky note underneath the keyboard, all that in the drawer, none of that, because that's opening yourself up to internal issues where staff mates can get into devices. That's a little different. That's not so much cybercrime, but password management is really going to help you avoid many different security vulnerabilities at your business. So the final element, and again, we talk about this all the time, but like I said, Internet of Things, third-party breaches, and email. This is how criminals are getting into organizations right now, primarily. We all know we've got messages coming in and out of our inbox all day. Email is still the #1 way that we're communicating, and your staff is just trying to get through the day. They're just trying to be responsive. They're just trying to make sure that they're doing their jobs. And criminals are taking advantage of this because they know that we're distracted. They know that we're busy, and they're leaning on the fact that we're going to think later and act now to take advantage of that. So when we're talking about emails, we're talking primarily about phishing and spam and those types of things where criminals are proactively trying to steal your information, or they're trying to get you to download something. So like I said, the criminals are really trying to get you to take an action of some kind. They want you to give the criminal information, or they might want you to download a malicious file or a virus, or in something that we're seeing recently, and as of late, they're trying to get you to literally just hand over money. They're tricking you and impersonating other people at your organization to get you to hand that over. So for those of you who may not be familiar, I think phishing is a pretty popular and well-known term at this time. But just to kind of cover that real quick, in general, phishing is a technique criminals use to steal or go phishing for information. They try to impersonate big companies. They try to make they'll make their email look like it came from Chase or Office 365 or the IRS or any number of things that they know you're using, and they make their emails look almost perfect, like to the T. And so then what they're trying to do is they're trying to either get you to respond with the information that they want, download a file that they're trying to get you to download, or potentially click on a link and put your username and password in so they can steal that from you. A lot of times these are sent out in mass, but sometimes they're also very sophisticated and highly targeted. What we're going to talk about today is more about the mass approach, because it's very difficult to defend against that targeted approach, and that would need its own session. So like I mentioned, the criminals are really trying to make sure that you act first. So the #1 thing that we want to be talking about at our office is please think before you click. Take a second and think, right? Only download files from known contacts and vendors. That's pretty much adopted across the board. I know most people these days are not going to download a file just because somebody on the internet told them to. We want to check links and emails before we click. Now, what I mean by that is, again, you can actually hover without clicking. You can hover over a link to see if where it's pointed to, and by pointed, that means like the ultimate destination, matches where you think it's sending you. So a criminal might put an embedded link into an email that says www.chase.com/login, but you may find that it actually points to some crazy jumbled up mess of letters that isn't Chase at all. So we want to make sure that we're checking our links. If you get a notice about an account, like that it's out of date or that they're going to shut it down or any number of things, go directly to that account. Don't click the link in the email. So if Amazon is sending you something saying that we've tried to deliver your package 4 times and we're not going to do it, or UPS or if Office 365 is telling you that due to a security issue, they're going to shut down your account. These are all popular techniques that are being used. Or Chase, due to recent suspicious activity, we're going to shut down your account if you don't prove that it's you by putting these login credentials in. Any of that stuff, I would go Google, or I would just go to chase.com because we know those. But go to Google and Google whatever the main site is, or type in the main site to your browser and go there direct, and then follow that up directly. Don't follow that up through the email. Maybe even pick up the phone and call Chase Direct and say, hey, I got this email about my account. I want to verify. And I should say that since I said to pick up the phone, don't call a number in the email, because most likely it's not going to be Chase. It's going to be the criminals. So just make sure that you open up your internet browser, go directly to the company that's emailing you, and verify. Look out for poor grammar. This one's pretty well known by now, but oftentimes these scammers and these spam emails are going to be chock full of different little grammar mistakes, and that's a dead giveaway. And then I kind of alluded to this already, but make sure that you're looking out for urgency. Anytime somebody's trying to threaten you into taking action, or trying to create that urgency and create that sense of, oh, I need to act now, that's really a flag that you should probably take a second and take a step back. And then, like I already said, when in doubt, I know we all don't like picking up the phone anymore, but when in doubt, just pick up the phone. You'd rather do that than find out that you were a victim. So those are going to be the highest level big tips. And then I'm just going to go into a couple examples to show you guys what these look like in real time, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. So like I said, this is a Chase one. As you can see over here at the top, we've got the recipients. That's pretty fishy. Whenever you see something coming from a financial institution or any institution in general, and they're sending you a hidden recipient list like that, masking the recipients, and it's not going directly to you, it wasn't coming directly to me, Abby, it came to recipients, that's going to make the hackles stand up on the back of my neck. You want to be a little bit hesitant of that. And then, like I was mentioning, and I apologize that when this gets blown up, it gets a little bit hairy, but you can say click on chase.com. And if you were to hover over chase.com, you can see that this points to, I think it's maytasmadden.com / a bunch of other stuff, right? So what most likely happened here is that link will take you either to an infected page that will automatically infect you, or it'll take you to a spoof page that was designed to look exactly like Chase, so that when you go there, you type in your username and your password, and then the criminal has what they want. So now, like I said, Office 365, this is a big one. I get these all the time because we use Office 365 here, but luckily I know how to defend against them and how to notice them. So this is a popular type of notice. They try to scare you by saying that your account's going to be deactivated because, Lord knows we couldn't do anything without Office 365, right? We would be disconnected. So that's, if somebody sees this in their inbox, they're going to want to act. So we've got Microsoft Fix, it's MX, a bunch of letters at protection.office-365.com. That's not Office 365 or Microsoft emailing you. That's a random mess. Separately, this one wouldn't get caught by most people, but this logo right here, that's not the official Office 365 logo. That's one that a criminal went and found on the internet and threw in there because they knew that for most people, they'll see that it looks enough like the logo that they will then put their guard down. If you read the content of the email, it says, hi, sales, when typically we don't have Office 365 accounts that are first name sales. But so hi, sales, your account blank, and that's redacted for privacy, will be disconnected from sending or receiving mails. See, even right there, I couldn't say the wrong thing. I automatically corrected it. But for receiving mails from other users, period, because you failed to resolve errors on your mail. And there's no capitalization, all that stuff. Do we really think that Microsoft or Office 365 is going to be sending out an error message with that many errors in it? I don't. And then I didn't get the image of it, but this button down here did not take you to Office 365. So this one I intentionally did not mark up, just because I want to show you just how, how believable and true these really do look, right? So this is an example that I found on the internet. But so this one is an Intuit QuickBooks email designed to have you, you've got an invoice that's due. It would be sent over to your HR team, and they're sitting here going, oh, okay, I'm just going to send this in, and they're not even going to think about it. They're going to be sent to a spoof page, and then you're out all of your money, whatever the invoice value is worth. Oftentimes, what criminals are going to do is they're actually going to take this up a notch, and they're going to send you something that tells you that you've already got a past due invoice. So to avoid having to pay a penalty of some type, you need to get this remediated right now, or to avoid having your account with QuickBooks shut down, you need to get this handled right now, any number of things. They don't always make sense, but these threats do work. So at the end of me describing emails, I kind of talked about this new thing where criminals are actually going in and impersonating you or impersonating other high-level executives at your company to do damage. So this is called CEO fraud, and it is something that's definitely picking up its speed and happening more and more. So I'm not sure if you've heard about this just yet, but so in this technique, just like it says, somebody is going to go and impersonate the CEO. They're going to do this by either hacking into the organization and hijacking the CEO's email itself, which is obviously the worst case scenario and the most dangerous situation, or they are going to create a lookalike email that looks just enough like the CEO's email for people not to catch that it's different in the sender line in your inbox. So they're going to create an email that is very much like the actual email, but it's not actually the real email. And they're counting on the fact that you're not going to notice it. Or maybe they're also counting on the fact that you don't get messages from your CEO or your CFO or whomever very often. Again, they're creating urgency. They're trying to create a situation that you're not expecting. They're trying to scare you into taking action immediately. All those types of things. Many people, if they got a message from an owner or a C-level executive at their company that they don't have a good rapport or a good relationship with, they're not going to question anything. They're just going to do it, right? So for this example, we've got morning name. Hope you had a good weekend. Do you have PDF copies of the employees' W-2s? Could you please email them to me for a quick review, right? No grammar issues, very quick. And it also has this nifty little sent from my iPhone thing at the bottom. This is a very legit looking email, right? This looks like it could be an email from your CEO, right? And this is a very popular technique that's used in January, more February and March. Criminals, just so you know, if you weren't aware already, are very heavily after those W-2s, any type of tax-related documentation early in the year. But so this is an example of, they're not necessarily looking for money, but they're looking for very valuable information that they could then use against you and your business or against your staff. So this isn't one that was funny. So I was putting together a presentation on BEC scams, and no joke, about 5 minutes after I put together the presentation, this email landed in my inbox. So real quick, Jeff Borello, that's our CEO, to me, Abigail Libiota, but you'll see Jeff Borello, and the email comes from ceopt@lycos.com, right? That's not Jeff's email, but if I wasn't paying attention, I might not have seen that. Now, this is the one nifty thing I will point out to you guys. This is one layer. This is the how you can defend. Obviously, when it comes to email, we want to make sure we've got spam filters implemented. We want to make sure that we're doing employee training, since that's the most important part of all of this. And then there's also features available to you if you're using a robust and professional spam solution. Our spam filters and the ones that we provide to our clients at Andromeda actually have a feature it's the CEO fraud protection, what we call it, fraud protection. And basically, anytime an email is sent to your staff that is not the sender message or the sender email doesn't actually match up. So you can see right here, CEOPT is not Jeff B at WeNetwork.com. So because our system noticed that those two things differed, it gave me this great red banner that said, hey, just so you know, this email might not actually be from Jeff. You should take caution. So you can see here, it says, hi, Abigail, I need you to get a purchase done as am planning to surprise some of the staff with gifts. And I think that was a comma, not a period. Your confidentiality would be appreciated so as not to ruin the surprise. Email me once you get this. Regards, sent from my iPhone. All right, couple things. Now, obviously, I work directly for Jeff, so there's things in here that do stand out to me. But imagine if this was sent to a layer lower in the organization or somebody that doesn't work directly with Jeff all the time. What if it was sent to one of my web developers or a technician that he doesn't speak with often? I mean, it wouldn't make sense, but they might just think that he was trying to do something secret for the staff, right? Jeff, like I said, he doesn't call me Abigail. He does not write like this, and he doesn't have poor grammar when he does. And then the other thing down here at the bottom, and the other technique, or the other email had this technique as well. It says sent from my iPhone. The criminals do this because they know that oftentimes when we're typing messages on our phones, we do have typos and grammar errors. So that might excuse a bad sentence or misspellings, because I might think, oh, he was just on his phone, right? It also creates an additional sense of urgency because he's not sending this to me from his desk. He must be on the go, so he really needs my help with this. And that also may be why he's sending it to somebody that it doesn't normally make sense to send it to, right? And then finally, Jeff doesn't have an iPhone. He's an Android user. So again, that was a dead giveaway to me. This one was very easy to see, but I hear stories all the time, even from our own clients of, either they almost fell victim or, they know of somebody that fell victim. I was talking to at a trade show, I was talking to an individual who they had a new HR manager, and they were always and typically very on things. But there was this one morning where an email came through asking for a $10,000 wire transfer. Okay. And again, it was, early morning. They were busy, obviously, and they sent it through. And then thank goodness the operations director got pinged by the bank and was able to stop the payment. But oftentimes you don't get that. The bank is not going to call you and say, hey, do you want this wire transfer done? So specifically when it comes to the VEC scams, I would definitely recommend talking to your IT group about the fraud protection alert and just see if that's an option that you have available to you. And then on the other side of things, these scams are primarily going after people who are doing wire transfers and sending out money, or who have access to W-2s and sensitive client or employee information. So you definitely want to make sure that you're having a conversation with those staff that touch those things about that. And if anybody on this webinar today is interested in that, I did do an entire session on that, and that session was just 15 minutes. So you can always let me know, or just raise your hand, throw it in the chat, and I can email you with that recording, and you can send that out to staff at your office. So I'm tired of talking. I'm kidding. But that brings us right up to the end there. And like I said, I do appreciate everyone's patience. This one did go longer than normal for sure. But I'm going to open things up. Does anybody have any questions? And I would also encourage, as always, everybody's got my email address and my contact information. If there's anything that you think of today, tomorrow, any questions that you have related to this, throw them my way and I will do my absolute best to answer or get you the answer. I see here, okay. I've got a question just about the CEO fraud and cost. I can't speak to all applications or all spam filters. I know that if you are using our professional spam filters at Andromeda, I believe that this feature is just something we just have to turn on. So you would just need to talk to your account management staff, and depending on how you work with us, that would either be included in your service agreement, or we would just need to bill you for whatever technical work needs to be done there. But I have a feeling, I think that we've been saying that that's at no cost to turn it on, not to get the spam filter. Okay. So I've got a question that's basically, what can I do, or how would you recommend that I, show my staff these types of emails and help my staff avoid them? There's a couple different things you can do. You can obviously share these types of training sessions with your staff. I would highly recommend that when you get this, since I always send out the recording after the fact, that you share it with any staff that you think would benefit from it. We also produce a weekly blog email that you can check out. You can do the same thing that I did, which is there's all kinds of resources online where you can just do a quick Google search for spam emails and phishing emails, and you can print those out and you can share them with your staff and do trainings on your own. You can ask our team at Andromeda to come in and do an in-person, cybersecurity session, much like this, where, myself or some other member of our team can come out and talk to you about what's going on and kind of, share this information, since a lot of times it's really helpful when it is in person, because we can ask those questions and really dedicate that time. And then I will throw out there that we do offer a virtual employee cybersecurity training program that we combine with dark web monitoring. So what that will do is it'll alert you if, like we said, Mary Beth at the front office, if her password is stolen and it's located on the dark web by our tool, it will alert you so that you can, again, get ahead of that 12 to 18 month window. And then separately, the thing that I love about our employee cybersecurity training, since we use the same product for ourselves, is we get weekly micro training quizzes sent to our email with videos. It actually does simulate phishing tests so that, I can see from my staff and my team, and then we can also see for our whole team here, who is falling victim to phishing scams, who needs extra training. We can talk to them, hey, why did you click this? What was the thing that made you believe that this was a real email? And that actually gives you visibility on a case-by-case basis, as well as on a global level at your organization, of who needs what assistance when it comes to cybersecurity. And those are both very affordable options for most businesses. All right. So I do want to live in the moment just let you guys know, because we do have a pretty exciting session coming up, and I'm going to be doing it a couple weeks early because we've got the holidays coming up. So I believe it is Wednesday. I don't believe, I know. So Wednesday, December 11th is going to be our next session. So make sure if you've got the time, I know that the end of the year gets crazy, but if you've got the time, throw it on your calendar already and make sure that you register when I send out the invitation for it. But we're going to be talking about, this one's going to be completely personal. We're going to just kick the business aside. I'm just kidding. But we're going to kick that out, and we're actually just going to talk about some of the scams that criminals are throwing specifically at you during the holiday season. So just kind of things like best practices for when you're shopping online and getting prepared for Christmas or whatever holidays that you may celebrate. And then also just going into the beginning of the year, because like I mentioned, that is prime time for cybercrime and different criminals just trying to get out there and take advantage of tax season and all the hustle and bustle that comes from the end of the year and the beginning of the year colliding in one. So that's going to be a really valuable session. I know I'm pretty excited to deliver it to you guys because it's just a little bit different. We'll talk a little bit more about our day-to-day lives and what we're doing online and some best practices. I'll probably dig into some phone scams and a variety of different types of scams that we run into day to day, especially during the holiday season. So that's going to be, like I said, Wednesday, December 11th at noon to get ahead of the holidays. And other than that, I hope that everybody has a great rest of the week. And thank you for joining me. I appreciate everybody staying on. I do see we had, everybody stuck around for this whole session. So I hope that you guys found this very valuable. And I look forward to talking to you guys next time.
Hey there, it's me again one last time real fast. As one last reminder, in case you didn't do it before the session, we are hosting our upcoming IT Office Hours webinar about popular scams and techniques criminals are going to be using against you and your friends and family during the holiday season. You're going to want to make sure that you book that time. That's going to be on Wednesday, December 11th at noon, just 15 minutes, so it's not too much of a time commitment. Feel free to find the registration link right below. Just click on that image. It'll take you right to the page. Throw your information in there, and then I will see you later. Thanks.